edition of my weekly series, The Leap. Now, there is a subject matter and that has always kind of intrigued me. It's always kind of close to my heart because I feel I'm still struggling with this, and it's basically food addiction. And now we always have the big three in America. We got alcohol, drugs, tobacco. Those three are obviously the ones that we always think of when somebody says, well, I'm an addict. But the lesser one that we never really consider or even regard for that matter is food addiction. Now you probably think that, yeah, food, you can't really get addicted to it, blah, blah, blah. We need it to live, food is life, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, food is life, it sustains us, we need nutrients. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a moment in your life when food is used to replace things, used to replace relationships, it's used to make you feel good, it's used to make you hide yourself from real feelings, real connections. And in a lot of ways, that's what happened to me. I didn't really care about dating. I didn't really care about, maintaining good relationships with friends. I loved food, and at the same time I did like alcohol and sodas, but we'll get to that some other day. Let's just focus on food for the moment. Now you're probably thinking, well, you can't really get addicted to food because we need it. Well, I'm here to prove you wrong. Let's start with the first culprit, that being dairy. Now, if you really look at the labels of most of your food, you'll see there's whey products, there's milk, butterfat, butter. I mean, just about everything we eat has some form of dairy in it. Now, if you're probably wondering why is this, it's because dairy is a natural addictive product. Think about it for a second. Dairy has this additive called casein. And basically what casein does is it creates a dopamine effect within your brain. It's very similar to a drug experience where you feel good, you feel relaxed, it makes you feel wonderful for a short while of time. And just like any other drug, eventually you come down and eventually you want to eat more. So dairy in itself is very dangerous because it's just about in everything we eat. So you may already be an addict to food before you even know it. And this is not just some new thing that's kind of happened. This has been systemically built over a period of 30 some odd years. I mean, when I was a kid, I'm 38 right now. When I was a kid, 10, 11 years old, having cheese on your burger, that was a big deal. Nowadays there's cheese on everything. We got pizzas with 4 cheeses. We have burgers with 2 different types of cheeses. I mean, we're creating a new word, melty. What the hell is the word melty? That's not even real, but we're using it as a describing word for cheese. And so cheese has really become the biggest problem within the dairy community in terms of addiction. I mean, obviously milk plays a role, and butter plays a role, and yogurt to some extent plays a role, but cheese is the biggest thing in terms of food addiction. Now, from my own experience, when I first gave up dairy about 4 years ago, it very much was like a drug detox. I mean, I was moody, I was angry, and after about 2 or 3 months, I finally kind of evened out. Because at my worst, I may have been eating a pound of cheese a day, and that's not including the potato chips, which I always ate flavored stuff. So if you ever have potato chips that are some kind of flavor, it's most likely going to have some kind of whey in it. Now, the other thing that really causes a lot of food addiction in our country is obviously sugar. Over the last couple years, we've had plenty of new research to indicate that sugar acts very similarly in our brains to cocaine. And this is the big reason why a lot of the sugar trade federations here in this country are fighting to make sure that, just in regards to labeling, that they keep the gram system as opposed to the teaspoons. Now, most people don't understand that 4 grams equals 1 teaspoon. So when you say there's like 85 grams of added sugar into a product, you're basically saying there's 21 teaspoons of added sugar in a product. Now, a big controversy that really happened with the National Board of Health this past year is they're recommending that we only consume 50 grams of added sugar per day. Now think about that. That's about 12.5 teaspoons. Look at your average can of soda. In this case, Coca-Cola. I'll use them as the example. In just one 12-ounce can of soda, they have 35 grams of sugar. That's almost your entire recommended daily use. Now, back in the day when I was a heavy eater, heavy drinker, I would drink a 1-liter bottle of soda every day. That's almost 100 grams of sugar a day, and that's not including all the candy I would eat. So, in a lot of ways, I was really feeding my addiction with sugar. Now, of course, I really had no concept of healthy eating back then. I just ate what I wanted to eat because I needed it. I mean, every day I was pretty miserable, I was sad, I was lonely, and food really filled all those voids, especially sugar and dairy. And so you're probably asking now, what was the best way to avoid all that? What was the best way to cleanse that junk out of my system? Well, it's a little extreme, but I went vegan, basically. And what that entails is I eat nothing that has animal products in it. So, as part of my newfound diet, I basically got rid of all the dairy, which was a very difficult and just a really difficult situation to do because I was really moody and angry and miserable for about 3 months. And then just like that, I really got rid of a lot of my sugar because when you think about it, a lot of our candy is not vegan friendly. And a lot of our snacks are not vegan friendly. So by adopting that new eating regimen and that new lifestyle, I was able to eliminate a lot of my problems. And during the nearly 4 years that I've been vegan, 4 years I've been dairy-free, by the way, my discipline in rejecting those things has certainly been tested, but I've remained true to them for the most part. Now, giving up meat is obviously something I'll just go into very quickly. For me, giving up meat was pretty easy compared to dairy and sugar, mainly because I was always kind of weird with meat. I always liked it well done. I never liked sushi. I wasn't a big fish fan. So for me, I wasn't really addicted to meat at all. And it's part of the self-reflection process over the last few years, and I realized that dairy and sugar were my big culprits. Now, I'm always going to tell everybody it's best to go vegan because it's not just a lifestyle that helps the environment, helps animals, helps our resources, especially water, which is our most precious resource. It really helps in regards to your personal health, and I think that's something most people don't really understand. That aside from when they think about a vegan, they think of this skinny little twerp who's yelling at you saying meat is murder and throwing paint on a person with a fur coat. But veganism is so much more than that. And in future videos, I'll talk more about that. But for today, I'm just talking about food addiction. So in summation, dairy and sugar are really the two biggest contributors to food addiction. And it's mainly because they just simply react in your brain the same way that high-powered legal drugs and illegal drugs react to your body. Now, in future episodes, I'll probably talk about why we don't regard food addiction as a problem akin to drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. But today I just wanted to kind of point out two of the biggest factors for food addiction, which is obviously sugar and dairy, which is something that kind of affects me because those are really my two biggest problems. And I'm sure other people out there have different contributors to their food addiction. Sometimes there's a chemical imbalance in their brain, or sometimes there's a psychological imbalance. But it's obviously sugar and dairy are the two biggest issues. Today I just wanted to simply focus on two of the contributing factors to food addiction. Now I know there's a lot of other different things that can affect a person, sometimes life circumstances, sometimes a chemical imbalance. But we're going to start with the two things that you can directly affect in terms of your food addiction problems, which is sugar and dairy. Now, over the course of time on this blog, we'll discuss different ideas and different reasons for food addictions. But today I just wanted to talk a little bit about sugar and dairy, because those are two things that really kind of sucked me in. Those are two things that just completely affected my life. And I'll tell you all about it as time goes on. Until then, go ahead and leave comments in the section. Give me some suggestions on future topics. Subscribe to my channel. Check out my Instagram. And check out my personal blog. And beyond that, I hope you all have a good day.